We are live. So welcome in yet another umbraCoffee. It's our 30th
30th.
episode. Yep. It's hard to pronounce if you are not familiar with English too much. But yeah, we're here and we are joined by Stephen and Pete from Offroad Code. Hi guys.
Multi-award-winning Offroad Code.
Award-winning Offroad Code.
Yes. Oh, damn, I forget it once again. Multi-award-winning Offroad Code. And we have Pete as a backup for Stephen because Pete is our first returning guest. By the way,
am I?
Yes.
Yes.
You are. So that's very good. We want to invite more of you people. So reach us if you want to be here. We want to make you happy if it will make you happy to be here. And yeah, but we have, as usual, we have a lot of things to discuss. Callum, do you want to start from Umbraco release?
Yeah, I think it's been a busy week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A load of we've named this episode Always Measure, and I think there's been a ton of statistics in this week. So V711 came out and it had 42
issues close, yeah, 42
issues. A lot
30,
of them
38 from them were fixed by community members. And guys, how many PRs you've submitted from Offroad Code? Any?
I think we're up to 3 since Code Garden. We've got another 2, maybe 3 in the works.
I did a documentation one yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Also, not just issues, features as well. We did. I did one that added some gulp compression goodness to the back office. Not really an issue, just an improvement.
Yeah, very nice, and it's good to see that so many of them were merged in a short time, and then it just proves that a lot of things is happening. And in terms of documentation, we also had an information and statistic about I can't remember if it's listed here, but 72 pull requests or something like that for documentation, and 10 new contributors only for documentation. Which is amazing, and I think it just proves that more people start to contribute in different ways, and it's not by only fixing issues or raising them, but also writing how to solve other things.
It's more incredible that team has only been around, the community pull request team. Sorry, the community documentation team has only been around since maybe Christmas time, start of the year. I'm not quite sure exactly when it started. Maybe even sooner than that. So. They are making huge difference to the overall product and the community in such a short space of time, and everyone's jumping on it. Everyone's starting to contribute. Stephen, you said you've done some, like 78 or 72 since Code Garden or since something. I can't remember the stats, but yeah, it's really impressive.
I'm looking forward to see if the pull request team have the same amount of success. I hope they do. Much needed, but I think it's a good little model that hopefully they can copy.
Yeah, and Stephen, you're also talking of stats. So I've only really heard about this since Code Garden, and I've known it existed, but I have never really taken a good look at it. So do you want to maybe talk quickly about benchmark?
Yeah.
The cool stuff.
Yeah. So. We all agree Umbraco's awesome, right? Everyone agrees Umbraco's awesome, but we don't know how awesome. There's no quantifiable measure of how awesome it is. We don't know how awesome we are compared to a month ago, a year ago. I mean, one of the stats I have is this is 96 releases of V7. 96 releases of V7. We don't know how we're doing. We've got nice new features coming in, but we don't know how it performs as well as it used to. So I thought there was a need to see where it is, if we're going forward or are we going backwards. Spoiler alert, it's both. Some aspects it's going backwards, some aspects it's pushing forwards in performance. And so I have to try and figure out a way of benchmarking every version of Umbraco. Problem I have is they keep changing the installer, so I have to rewrite the thing which installs. So it installs each version of Umbraco via Selenium. It clicks through, creates a database, goes through, adds it on, and they keep changing the designs on it, adding new things on it. So every time they change it, I have to redo the installer. It's a pain in the ass, but it does it now, and all the hard work's done for that. So then I've got a way of installing any version from V7 that I want. And then it's just a case of writing tests which run on any version of V7. One of the things I'm proud about is there's actually just one DLL I inject into all these V7 sites and it just works. It's an API controllers and I can just hit it on any version and it will return me some stats.
Nice. Also, maybe show it for our viewers if they didn't see it. I'm sharing my screen now. It's available on ubenchmarks.offroadcode.com, and we can preview various stats and various reports from the test. And you've mentioned Selenium. It's used for of course UI tests and measures in terms of times of installs, etc. And Web API is used to measure some other metrics. Am I correct?
Yeah. So there's 3 ways of taking the metrics. We have my Chrome has just crashed, so I'm flying blind right now. So we've got integration tests. So I monitor how long it takes a editor to come in, type in a piece of content, save and publish it. How long it takes someone to log in, because on a fresh browser session as well, it's very important for editors to go to an Umbraco site, log in, and start editing content as quick as possible for a good editor experience. And then we have
also some RAM usages, right? So startup times and disk usages, a lot of stats, and I believe it's helpful not only for you or us as a devs to compare between versions, but also for, I don't know, a business perspective. And if we have Pete here, maybe Pete, you can add something for what you are using those stats mostly to I don't know, to show them for a client that they need an upgrade, or I don't know, to just keep an eye on that.
They're handy for a number of things, really. We've got size of service, for instance. If something's taking too much time or amount of RAM, we can justify to their server people, well, we need something that's a particular size. That's kind of handy. We've also got, if I've got a particular version installed that's a bit got a spike or a high point on it, then again, it's a real easy no-brainer when we send them a screenshot and go, you're on this version, and as you can see, it's slower, so you probably need to get there, which really helps push the upgrade argument forward a little bit.
I find that so useful, because like we often say, okay, you need to upgrade it, it's going to be better, but we can't quantify it. And having like a visual graph and points of data on there where you can very clearly say, well, this is going to be quicker, these things are going to be quicker. It's like a visual representation of that, not just hearsay.
I think that is a great addition for this version compare feature on our end. When you are comparing between versions, and you can see what features were added, where issues were fixed, and maybe how it improved or gets worse. We don't want this scenario, but if something, maybe it's taking longer, we should be all aware of it if we want to compare versions and decide if we want to change it or upgrade or downgrade, whatever else.
And Stephen,
go on.
Sorry, you raised an important point there of because we know which issues are released in between different versions. If there is a performance spike, for instance, on a particular version, we should, in theory, be able to narrow down which issue it was, so that we can actually tip off HQ as to where to go look as to what caused it. Steve's got some logic as to how we make sure these things aren't just blips, which we'll probably tell you about. I don't know. Just to smooth those things out.
So it's good. It's one thing generating stats, but generating repeatable stats is another thing. So you have to do any benchmarking several times to make sure it's accurate and repeatable. So all benchmarks are run 10 times currently. They're done on a virtual machine, external to anything else. So it just this job is just to run the benchmarks. Nothing else can interfere with it. And then we run it 10 times, take an average, and that's what the performance is shown for that version. I might change the standard deviation formula and things like that eventually, but more than a proof of concept now, it actually works. I can always get it better, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
figure out a better way of showing that data to people.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've actually been really, really quick about testing the new stuff. So you've tested the V7.11 release literally the day it came out.
Spoiler alert, on GitHub, there's currently released tagged as 7.11.1. But that's not actually released. I was actually hoping I'd be able to say, on 7.11.1 is probably being released about now, so I'd release that. Sorry, HQ, I just released your spoiler for the day.
But you tested the V8 alpha as well.
I did. I spent the first day of Code Garden testing that.
Yeah,
very helpful having Stefan around, just going up to him and going, what does this do? How do I do this now?
Which is also a really interesting statistic, because I know, Pete, you've spoken a lot about V8 and it's ready when it's ready. I think there's a blog post you did this week, in fact, about exactly that. And these graphs very clearly show right now performance benchmarks for the history of V7 and then a big spike up to V8. So it's kind of indicating that V8 is definitely an alpha, or a preview, sorry. We're not.
Well, we know that anyway, don't we? We know V8 is definitely an alpha.
Of course, this is almost quantifying it. People going, oh, well, like V8, they released it. It must be soon. Well, there's still work to do. This makes it very obvious.
I think
there's a new version number. It's got to be better, but to be better, it has to be better, and that's why these stats are actually, they're going to prove that. They know there's work to do still. Obviously, there's a lot of plumbing that they've changed under the hood. Normally, you just got to get it working from point A to point B, and then you can go back and optimize, which is fine. But this is the first time I think HQ have ever had any stats that we're aware of, certainly publicly, to say there's work to be done. And that's really handy, I think, both internally for them and for us publicly, that we can ensure that things are moving in the right direction.
And we can use this point to just mention that those hackathons, which we probably will be running more than once, and we also saw that Carol wants to bring the hackathon idea back, and so there will be more hackathons oriented not only around features, packages, etc., but also we just want to help Umbraco deal with those issues, and exposing them is the first step to just be aware that they are still there, and maybe just point us to the right direction of finding the solutions for them. So let's maybe move to some other topics and ideas, because hackathon is the one, but we also had a lot of meetups in this week, right? Callum, you've been talking yesterday, right?
I spoke at the first Surrey Umbraco meetup. Surrey, and I did a reprise of our Code Garden talk, unfortunately without Marcin, and condensed it into a much shorter period of time. Skipped over a few things. There was a Liverpool meetup as well the same day, and a Glasgow meetup.
Yep.
Was that yesterday as well?
Yes, also yesterday from my notes, and we had some all great feedback after those meetups. And your meetup was the only one where people didn't share any photo or insight from it. So I believe you that it went well, and I'm more than happy that you've shared the knowledge with other people. And also it was about Retreat, right, and V8, and still on the peak of Code Garden hype. And we are just sharing it further for people who maybe weren't there. And we also had a virtual meetup. Guys, did you attend the virtual meetup? I just jumped for a second at the end of the meetup, but I saw a lot of interesting things happen there. And HQ, via Mike Macy, summed it up with a blog post, which I'm sharing on the screen right now. And I was surprised by the list of topics covered. So it was not only about the idea, the retreat. Lars showed something about dependency injection in V8. There was a headless demo done by Carol, some insights from 7-Eleven, and other stuff by Amco. I jumped when Lee showed some new package property editors ideas. And I'm happy that there is a video recorded from the whole meetup. So I will jump on it probably today to just catch up what those topics are. But did you attend, guys? Any one of you?
No, I was on paper duty.
Pretty same. I was probably doing Lego or putting a fence up.
I was also involved in other father's responsibilities this time, but that's good. We have recording. We will definitely go back to that.
And there's going to be more of them, as far as I know. I think Mike said there's a plan to do one every couple of months.
Yep, 2 months.
So there'll be one soon-ish.
Yep.
Would this be a nice time to interject with my idea?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about measuring and the community doing some goodness to make things back. We talked about documentation, which is good. We talked about pull requests, and we talked about benchmarking, which the phrase I like for the benchmarking thing is an inconvenient truth, maybe. It's sort of, I know some people are like, why? I wish they hadn't posted that, but like you say, when it's in front of you, you kind of get there and get to see it. There's another idea I've had, which ties in, I think, really well with the virtual hackathon kind of stuff, which maybe you guys could pick up, is I think we need an automated back office testing framework of some description at the minute. We've got an awful lot of Angular magic in there. Very little of it's actually tested, and we don't have any automated tests at all. I think it was literally a handful that Lars added a couple of retreats ago. And that's kind of okay because hey, it's quirky and it grew and it did what it kind of needed to do. But now we're starting to pull on things and change things around for V8. I think all of us would benefit from having an automated UI testing framework of some description that could click around and make sure that when you add a piece of content, it appears in the tree, and then it can count how many are in the tree. And then when you try and log in, it does that. When you change your password, it does what it's meant to. A great big long thing that could eventually take 40 minutes to chug through everything, but let you know that the back office is doing what it promises that it's going to do. And by doing that, it means we have a safety net moving forward when we start moving things around, that we know we're not breaking anything. Because a lot of those things that are used in the back office are also used by packages, whether directly or legally or not. Some of the dirty hacks that have been used or get picked up to enable some of the amazing packages we do, and they then get broken when they get tidied up in subsequent versions. And I think there's a lot of scope there for as a community effort to try and get that in. HQ have talked about it, but as we found at HQ, Kogan HQ are flat out. So I don't know whether it's something that they're really going to get to do. So seeing the benchmark stats is really handy. Seeing a testing framework that drives the backend would be super handy for them to be able to manage how doing things. Probably a bit late to do it for V7, given that V8's coming out soon. So we probably need to switch to that.
Yeah, but like we were
slightly complicated.
Like we were talking before we went on, that actually we can. This is something that we can start with now, even though V8 maybe isn't going to be here immediately. It's something that we need to get started on now. It's something that we need almost for the launch of V8, and it's an effort that can be guided by HQ but led by the community. So either through these V8 hackathons that we'll be running, or just as a pet project for someone to start defining these. I know we've got some big testing advocates like Lars and yourself, Pete. You've spoken at great length about this as well. So it's something that I think we just need to assemble a team and get going.
Team assemble.
and also dedicate just more resources and more time to just contribute, because I think that all the package developers are also in need of help for maintaining some of those projects. And Jeffrey shared a list of those most popular packages used by the crowd websites. I think this is a great stat and also information for the package creators that, yeah, this is something what people are using, because downloads are not always representing the real popularity of the package. And if you are pretty sure that it's used, it's information for you to just deal with it and maybe get some help with bringing it back or ready for V8. And this is another idea what we want to do for our hackathons. And yeah, but package creators are not sleeping also and not doing nothing, but because they're releasing new stuff. And this week we had a release from Matt Braceford for Fluidity, some bug fixes and some community pull requests. 8 pull requests for Fluidity were created by community members, which is also amazing for this package, and because it's getting really popular right now. And what I've noticed are 2 new packages which I didn't use yet, but no label types package from Handy Racher and checkbox table for custom property editor. They are all look fine and interesting for being used in various projects. And what's also comes from Handy this week is a question on Twitter about new pickers. Really popular package and addition for Umbraco, which is planned to be rebuilded. And Handy is asking for a great name for the new package. And I saw some really nice responses. What was Le Picker Nouveau, 2 pickers, and some other interesting names. So if you want to contribute by submitting your idea for name of this package, and if you want to play with new released packages,
what about new picker face?
Yep.
New pickers, new pickers.
I tend to be in the camp. I don't actually think it needs renaming.
Yeah. The real new pickers.
It just needs 2.0 in the end.
Yeah. I would be in agreement. It depends how much.
Unless I'm missing something, I don't.
Remember to tweet it as a response for this survey, because I think that our voice is really important here.
I'll do that later.
And we saw what catch my eye was a new property demoed by Matt, which was done for the bike website.
That looked lovely. That
really cool.
it just I've mentioned it on my tweet that it's just proved that we can do whatever clients wants to have in terms of usability and just needs, and implement it in Umbraco to look native and to work native, and it's really awesome implementation. I can't wait to see maybe some code from that to just to also learn how it was implemented.
It's a very niche property editor. Not many people would ever use that. But property editors like that make the difference between an okay editor experience and making the editor's day, giving them making them enjoy using Umbraco. It takes a bit longer, but it's so worth it for them. I would be interested in to see how he got the route, what he used to generate that route in the first place, that JSON file he picked.
Yeah, he spoke something about it being some kind of open map data format. I can't remember what it is. There's some conversation on Twitter about exactly how it was made. It looks really, really exciting. I think one of the more exciting things as part of this is that it's using inner content, so he can associate basically content items to different points of data and then retrieve those in a strongly typed way, which is really, really cool.
Is it Vue.js?
Ooh,
very nice. Also, we saw some headless consumptions, which were also interesting during this week. Niels shared a short video how he consumed the data from headless in the Lego Mindstorms robot, which was really nice. And Morten surprised, I don't know if only me, but by the usage of headless data in Microsoft Excel, which is yet another interesting integration. We saw a PDF implementation during the Code Garden done by Rune and Mats, and yeah, we can use headless data for almost everything, which is really interesting. And I can't wait to see more demos from people, and it's exposed me personally, for what people are using data, basically, in terms of implementation, and that's really interesting. Other topics which I've listed, and we've populated and wanted to mention them, Formulate, which is another popular package, and I can't remember if it was on the Jeffrey's list, but it's really popular. It got its 500th commit, and it's great to see that the package is still evolving, and it's another option to Umbraco forms, basically. And what else we had? Those are the funny things. I'm still, after the Code Garden, some people were revealing memories, and one of them was by Simon about some weird stuff happened during the Code Garden 2016. And last topic on my list was, as always,
tabs versus spaces.
Really hard battle. John, if you are watching it, create a survey. I'm really interested. But I really like the answer from Lars. Conventions. That's all. If you are all using tabs as you're supposed to, by the way, you just keep the convention. But yeah, help John find the answer for this issue. And guys, do you have anything else to add maybe to this list?
It's tabs, by the way.
Yeah, tabs, always tabs.
There was the Cultive tweet about the pillow fight as well. I remember that. I was coughing up feathers for a week.
No way was that 2016. That was
2011. 2011, that was.
Thank you, that's better. How much did I drink at that one? I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, but during the tweet, it was on this day in 2016, so maybe that was just a mistake. But yeah, so we've covered most of it. We had one last thing. Stephen, I know that you are wearing a great Slave and Eagle t-shirt signed. By the great performance
We
creators.
can't see the picture. You'll have to stand up.
Yeah, you need to stand up.
My camera's frozen, so I can't actually see anything right now. So.
And so you probably know that Slave and Eagle released their website, and it's live.
Oh yes, it's Node.js if I'm correct.
It is. It's Node.js and Umbraco headless. It's really nice.
It's hosted on Heroku. I don't know how you say that word.
Heroku.
I showed it to the office next door. They pop in it once in a while to steal tea bags. And they're like, "Who's that your t-shirt?" I went, "Well, it's these guys." And they went, "Oh wow, it's a real band. Oh great, from Denmark." Yeah, they look weird. So we just played it smooth.
Oh wow.
I have this website as my starting website on my Chrome right now. So I'm waiting for future.
No, that's a video. We don't do that homepage.
And I'm doing my best to bring Slave and Eagle to Polish festival. We will see how
I
it
was
will
also
work.
talking with Runa this week about a UK Fest performance or something else.
Spoilers.
We'll
Spoilers.
see.
I believe there's a side project coming on that might be kickstarting in America. I think some exciting producers over there that Mads is keen to go out and work with. We'll see.
We will see. So yeah, with this positive summary, I think we are all looking forward to some more Slave and Eagle productions. Our devs with attitudes also are preparing something for you, for your pleasure and happiness. And yeah, thanks guys for joining us. It was really great to have you. Keep up the good work with benchmarks and all the rest things what you are doing.
Yeah, I'm going to keep start paying closer attention to these benchmarks now because it's really, really useful.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because we now have when Jeroen always gets the first shout out when a new release comes out. Now we'll have a similar one for when new benchmarks is updated, maybe. So
Benchmarks!
Nice.
I haven't slept, but I've done it.
I think it's quite good that you've had, because Steve's a new parent, so you're nearly a year in now. So
nearly, yeah.
When she falls asleep on him at 2 o'clock in the night, he's like, I'll just update benchmarks. So he does an hour here and there because he can't sleep, so might as well get it done. But, bless him.
Awesome.
So webhooks everywhere. Yeah, thanks guys once again, and
Thank
see
you
you all next week.
No problem. Keep up the great work, guys.
Have a good weekend.
You
too.
Love your work.